about look at Diddy, for instance. Let's take a look at him. Let's take a look at, he has videos. He has videos of the parties. Now, what I've heard, which I don't know how much of it is in mainstream media, I don't really follow the story that much, but what I've heard from friends that are attorneys, friends of mine that have represented me before, agents and so on, is there's a bidding war going on right now.
Everybody knew that Puff took Tupac blueprint and changed Biggs and Bad Boy in.
So we knew something was going on. We just started following them.
Right. Two young paramedics
I was driving.
were working nearby.
I had been a medic for roughly 5 years.
I was 22 years old.
Jim and Shane, now Henderson firefighters, have asked us not to use their last names because they're concerned about.
Sean Diddy Combs' fall reads like a Hollywood script even the studios would call too insane. The glitzy empire he built on swagger and billion-dollar branding is collapsing under federal indictments, courtroom filings that play like pulse-pounding thrillers, and rumors that the party boy persona masked something far darker. Prosecutors allege a web of racketeering, exploitation rings, and secret tapes that could carry life-altering prison time, and his name reportedly appears nearly 50 times in sealed police transcripts tied to the ambush that toppled Shakir in Las Vegas. Now, as Diddy proclaims his innocence in a New York courtroom, former allies are suddenly talking, and the once untouchable facade of his kingdom is coming apart in real time.
I think that they don't want, if they was in any of those freak-off tapes, if they played a part in any of those Diddy sessions, they don't want it to get out to the general public to make up their brand.
27 years. 27 years. For 27 years, the family of Tupac Shakur has been waiting for justice. We are here today to announce the arrest of 60-year-old Dwayne Keith Davis, aka Keefy D, for the of Tupac Shakur.
I was just trying to make money. Everybody come guilty before they don't get a chance. It's not Russian to say that I ran. This is wrong.
He claims he previously made an immunity deal with the federal government.
Felony and all amendments and constitutional rights. I'm never supposed to be put in jail for this. Never.
We don't talk about things that are nonsense. We don't even entertain nonsense, my brother. So we're not even going to go there, with all due respect, but I appreciate you as a journalist asking. Thank you.
Enter Gene Deal, the ex-bodyguard who watched everything from armored SUV convoys and penthouse suites. Now he's dropped a bombshell that makes the charges against Diddy look like one small tile in a much darker mosaic. Deal claims Shakur wasn't the naive hothead the press painted him to be. He was playing a deeper game, that he saw the setup coming, understood how high the bounty on his head had climbed, and instead of waiting to be taken out, engineered his own disappearance. According to Deal, the rapper turned his larger-than-life persona into a survival blueprint, duped his would-be executioners, slipped off American soil, and quietly rebuilt a new life overseas under a different name. And the sting? Deal says even Diddy, the man who supposedly thought he'd arranged the hit, was fooled. Picture Diddy in boardrooms, soaking in platinum plaques, convinced he'd eliminated the only rival who could unseat him, only to discover decades later that the supposed casualty might have simply sidestepped the bullet. If Deal's account holds any weight, it flips the whole East Coast-West Coast saga from tragedy into something closer to a long, Shakespearean con.
Him and Big went through their thing, and I was big man. That was the extent of our beef.
$1 million check, right, that they put on Tupac to get him hit?
Yeah, what I'm talking about is that if Puff has said on a couple of records that he'll pay $1 million to, but he was just talking to people randomly. So now everybody's saying that, and Keefy D said that Puff told them that he'll give him $1 million. House of Blues, Tupac was alive at the time. Tupac was in a white drop-top Rolls Royce, Suge was in a red one. We rose up to Pac. Puff tried to speak to Pac. He like, yo, what up, Pac? Pac looked at him and turned his head.
Puff and Pac was cool at one time. We know this.
Mopreme said that they was going to sign the Bad Boy. So if he's going to sign to Bad Boy, it was because of Corey number.
And the clues were hiding in plain sight. Fans obsessed over the Don Killuminati, the 7-day theory, fixating on its chilling subtitle and the cryptic line, "Exit Shakur, enter Machiavelli." They noticed that if you rearrange Machiavelli, it spells, "am alive." For years, critics brushed it off as morbid Easter eggs from a young man obsessed with death. But what if it wasn't foreshadowing? What if it was a playbook? A coded message from an artist who studied Machiavelli's writings on deception and survival. If Gene Deal's claims are true, that album wasn't a requiem, it was a roadmap. Then there are the strange inconsistencies buried in the official records. The coroner's report listed Shakur at 6 feet tall and 215 pounds, but everyone close to him knew he was 5'10 and 168. The autopsy photo, with its blurred tattoos and off-kilter angles, never sat right with fans. And the cremator who supposedly handled Tupac's remains, he retired the very next day and vanished without a trace. That disappearance alone fueled decades of whispers. Was he silenced because he helped pull off a body swap? And the question that still haunts hip-hop, was the corpse in that report ever Tupac at all?
I'm sorry, I'm just really, I'm in this moment right now. This is crazy. Sorry. People don't really know how much what it does to you when something that you love is taken from you and thrown away like it don't even matter, and then they move on with their lives and you're stuck. You're stuck during those years. You're still stuck 21 years later.
His image. Pac was the first one on the scene wearing Versace shirts. He went and got the same Versace shirts Pac had. Which, all right, some dudes would do that. You would never catch me wearing something that somebody else.
The deeper you dig, the wilder the stories get. Former security officer Michael Nice once swore to TMZ that he personally helped smuggle Shakur out after a hit was ordered. He claimed Fidel Castro himself approved the mission, even signing off on a body double to sell the illusion. Nice painted a scene straight out of a spy movie. Tupac never died in Vegas, he said, but was whisked onto a jet with Panthers by his side, flown through Barbados, and ultimately delivered to Cuba. He even remembered Shakur taking the co-pilot seat, shaking hands with his rescuers like a man stepping directly into his own myth. And just as Nice promised to drop hard proof, he was suddenly gone under mysterious circumstances. Coincidence or the price of knowing too much? Meanwhile, sightings just won't stop. Havana locals whisper about a man who looks exactly like Tupac roaming the streets in a bandana and shades. Broader shoulders, thicker beard, but those unmistakable eyes. Others swear he's been seen in Belize, even back in New Jersey. The internet keeps churning out grainy photos of Shakur standing beside Beyoncé, or 50 Cent, easily dismissed as Photoshop, but viral enough to stir old questions. And then there's Pac's own haunting words from behind bars. Why you think nobody been arrested if they said they the one that took Shakur out? Because Shakur not gone. He's somewhere smoking a Cuban cigar. Even his mother once dropped a cryptic line, saying her son chose to leave quietly. Was that just poetic grief, or a subtle confirmation that he walked away on his own terms? And how do we explain the flood of posthumous albums, each track sounding as raw and alive as if he recorded it yesterday? The more the threads unravel, the less this looks like a murder, and the more it feels like we've been watching the longest, most elaborate disappearing act in music history.
And then what's the stuff that's happening with Wendy Williams? You think this is all connection to?
Of course.
So you believe Diddy, he only got with Sarah Chapman because Pac, he had her at one point.
And it was a bet in the office. Sarah was messing with an NBA basketball player. Puff bet all of them believe that he could get it within 2 weeks. $100. So she actually was a $100 bet that he got.
And who was the?
And it all circles back to Gene Deal's claim. Shakur wasn't blindsided. He saw the betrayal coming. He understood the price of defiance in an industry where moguls played both kingmaker and executioner. When the bounty on his head soared into the millions, he didn't fold. He flipped the board. Machiavelli wasn't just a stage name, it became his survival playbook. And if Deal is right, Pac may have built an exile life in the shadows, biding his time, waiting for the perfect moment to return and expose the men who thought they buried him. The first cracks in the illusion came with whispers of a body double. Word spread that another man, already dead, was swapped into Tupac's hospital bed to stage the final act. Suddenly, those coroner discrepancies became evidence: the rushed cremation, the smoking gun. In this version, the chaos outside the hospital wasn't panic, it was choreography. By the time Suge Knight stumbled out in shock, bandages still fresh, Tupac was already on his way to a hidden runway, slipping into the Caribbean night under an alias. The public was left with blurred photos and tidy press releases, while the man himself was vanishing into legend. And now, as Diddy sits shackled by federal charges, accused of coercion, trafficking, and running his empire like a cartel boss, the irony hits harder than ever. He may still believe he masterminded the perfect crime back in '96, erasing the one rival who could dethrone him. But if Tupac is truly alive, watching from the sidelines, then Diddy's victory has been nothing but smoke and mirrors. Because if the day ever comes when Shakur steps back into the light, revealing the greatest disappearing act in music history, it won't just shatter Diddy's empire, it will haunt him forever, knowing the ghost he thought he buried was never gone at all.
Unfortunately, we're all going to take a disgusting trip to his seedy, awful world. You know, the man has no class. He has no kindness in his dark, dark heart. And he's depraved. That's my opinion. This is a depraved, disgusting individual about whom I wish to hear nothing after this trial is done.
More about the other one as well. Where do you stand with what happened with Tupac? Do you think Biggie was a part of it? You think Puff was a part of it?
I never heard Puff say anything about doing anything to Tupac or Suge.
Right.
I've heard people around Puff say things about that, but I never. Came back downstairs, he was heated. He said, yo, Gene, I got 126 employees, and these people depend on me for their livelihoods. If these white folks thought or they would think that I had anything to do with any kind of, they wasn't gonna, and they not gonna with me. He said, I'm a businessman. I'm about making money, but something gotta change. I don't give a if Pac gotta die, Big gotta die, or Suge Knight go to jail. Something's gotta change. And he took upstairs, he turned around and walked back upstairs. And it didn't dawn on me what he said. And then my man looked at me and Bun was like, yo, that dead Big.
The contradictions, the whispered confessions, the shaky autopsy, the endless sightings, they all crashed together into one chilling possibility. What if that night in Vegas wasn't an ending at all, but the start of the greatest disappearing act hip-hop has ever seen? What if the bullets were just